Am I the a-hole for snapping at my boyfriend for bringing a man into the bedroom while I am trying to sleep? So for quick context, my boyfriend bought us a new bed frame and mattress, but the frame came with a crack in one of the pieces. When he told Amazon, they just sent him another one. One day at work, an employee mentioned he was needing a new bed, so my boyfriend said he could have the one Amazon sent him if he didn't mind the broken piece. Well, he didn't, and he came to get it today. I know this person, and I do not like him for various reasons. My boyfriend told me the night before he was coming to get it. I said, cool, I'm not coming out of the bedroom unless I have to. He came, and I vaguely heard them talking, but I was half asleep and didn't care. Then I heard my boyfriend say something about showing him our bed, and I heard him say that I was in there, but it was fine. I kind of froze, half asleep, and confused until I hear them coming, and I pulled the blankets over my head as my boyfriend announced coming in. I said very loudly, why? And they just came in. It was hot and stuffy under the covers. Thank God I wore baggy clothes and not my usual sleepwear, so I pulled the blankets down, and the guy was just standing there in the doorway and awkwardly said good morning. To which I replied very angrily good morning back, and probably looked like I wanted to kill everyone there. So my boyfriend showed off the bed and started to leave, to which I snapped at him for not shutting the door behind him on his way out. I don't like leaving the door completely open because it's so awkward when his kid goes to the bathroom across the hall and we see each other when I'm trying to sleep. I just want it cracked enough my cat can get in, and he knows this. Eventually the employee leaves and my boyfriend comes in, and I immediately sat up and tell him I did not like that all. He tries saying something in a sing-song voice that may have been a half-assed apology, but I cut him off saying, I really didn't fucking like that all. And he turned around and left without a word. I shut the door completely and laid down, just sort of locked up in place. My whole body sort of just felt heavy and my chest hurt, but I couldn't cry. But that was just so humiliating to have not only a man that does not belong in my bedroom there, but also him seeing me in my safe space, an absolute mess from sleeping was just horrible. Later, when I got up for work, my boyfriend left as soon as he knew I was moving, got his pants, and left without a word. On my way out, I very angrily texted him that since he decided to Irish goodbye me after hurting me that bad, I'd take the couch tonight. He didn't reply, and he was asleep when I got home, so on the couch I am now. I won't know if I'm the asshole for how I reacted, because I have a feeling that's how he's going to twist it when he does, or if he does say anything at all. Some of Opie's comments. Commenter. From your description, I hear them coming, and I pulled the blankets over my head as my boyfriend announced coming in. The guy was just standing there in the doorway and awkwardly said good morning. Your boyfriend was being disrespectful to you and the buyer. The guy wanting to do the purchase also did not expect a sleeping human to be there. Note how the buyer was being respectful and your boyfriend was not. Again, with the boyfriend, I cut him off saying, I really didn't fucking like that all. And he turned around and left without a word. This is wild and weird. Does he usually ignore your feelings? Shut the door completely and laid down, just sort of locked up in place. My whole body sort of just felt heavy and my chest hurt, but I couldn't cry, but that was just so humiliating. It was humiliating and intrusive. NTA. Please ensure your BF wants you to be in a safe environment more than making a quick buck. OP. I'm not sure how to quote stuff on here like you did, so I'll try answering in order. If it matters any, he was giving him the frame for free. He won't speak to me if he thinks I'm too emotional, which admittedly, I was definitely on fire in the moment, and we probably would have started a fight if he said anything but a heartfelt apology of some sort. I think he'd just tell me, oh, it's just so-and-so, because he doesn't care for why I don't like the guy. He was my employee. We used to work together and I was his boss, and he'd try to get me in trouble all the time because I'd tell him to do his job correctly. But this could just be me doomed dreading stories we haven't talked yet, and I'm just sitting on the couch overthinking things, Thank you though. Commenter, NTA. Letting someone in your bedroom while you're sleeping is an asshole move, especially when it's someone he knows that you don't really like. He should have had the decency to wake you up before he even got there so you could have moved somewhere else. Imagine how uncomfortable you would feel if you had been sleeping naked. Your boyfriend should have had you get up before any of this happened. Your boyfriend owes you an apology to you and the employee for what happens. Your boyfriend owes you another apology for just walking away from you after you expressed how much you didn't like what he did and not talking to you for the rest of the day. How childish. OP. I specifically told him I wasn't leaving the room when he came unless I had to too. I tend to sleep in a lot and it was maybe normal get-up time for most people. 10:30/ish, I think. But when I told him that he didn't say anything about showing him the bed frame put together. I keep trying to remember if I heard the employee ask to see it or if he offered, but I wasn't awake enough, and I wasn't trying to listen to begin with. I can't help but feel like he'd use me cutting him off against me. It just felt like he was saying it for the sake of saying it, you know? Nothing about his tone sounded sincere, and it just made me snap. And that's why I'm not sure if I'm the asshole or not, because I guess I didn't give him a chance to apologize. Thank you for your input. Commenter. NTA, you set clear boundaries, and your man straight up ignored them. Bringing someone into your bedroom, your safe space, without a real heads up or respect for your feelings is a foul move. Maybe snapping wasn't ideal, but he kinda asked for it by dismissing your comfort like that. Dude needs to quit playing and show some respect. OP. Thank you. That makes me feel a lot better. I felt bad for snapping, but then I just got angry again thinking about it, and wasn't sure if my anger was clouding my judgment on the matter. Commenter. Please listen when I say this. This man does not respect you, and he will not grow to respect you before the relationship ends. And love is not a weapon that can combat disrespect. It is a burning sacrifice on the altar of his ego. Get rid of him. Yeah. I'm starting to see a lot of people saying things he does on here, without me even saying anything. Commenter. NTA. I've been with my wife for 18 years. I would never cross that boundary with her ever. I don't care if she was awake. If she is obviously uncomfortable with someone, I wouldn't put her in that position, and no one is getting into our bedroom without getting through me first. The fuck is wrong with him? How long have you two been together? Because I feel like this is easily something he should have picked up on. OP. 3 years. End of this year will be our 4th. Technically, New Year's Eve is our anniversary. The issues have only happened in the last year and a half, I want to say. Commenter. The comment about his kid makes me think this goes way deeper than this. OP. It's an awkward situation. His kid was obviously with someone well before me, and I don't really want to go into too much detail, because he isn't mine, but he basically got kicked out for lying about having a job, and now he lives with us with his girlfriend. I don't blame my boyfriend for how he ended up, because the mom had full custody and wasn't exactly the easiest to deal with as he grew up. It's not my place to tell him how to try and fix it. I just find it really awkward when people see me sleeping that aren't my boyfriend. That's about as deep as that goes. Awkward shyness. We kept the door wide open when we lived alone. To another commenter. Yeah, admittedly, I probably shouldn't have mentioned the son at all. He's got nothing to do with it, and he's quite happy living in his room rent-free with his girlfriend, Elle. More issues with her calling his son the kid. Yeah, he's a cool kid for the most part, but the mother wanted full custody after she got out of school. I'll say I could have worded my referral of him better, but his son was only mentioned in context to why I don't like the door being left open. And I really didn't think so many people would read this deeply into it like that. There's a very long and rather sad story about him with his son, one that is really not for me to tell a bunch of internet people. But it is a big reason why I love him. He really sacrificed a lot for that boy, and I genuinely can't stand how he treats his father now after all he did for him and still does for him. My boyfriend can be a dick, and he really fucked up this time with me. But he was never a bad father. If anything, he takes his stress and anger out on me, and maybe I do the same too, but there are lines not to cross. But yeah, I'll try referring him more as his son. Admittedly, I call him kid as much as I do, because sometimes so does my boyfriend when it's not his actual name. Editor's note. Opie also clarifies in another comment that the son is 20-ish. Commenter. Info. Ages. Looks like there is a big age gap between you and your boyfriend. OP. Downvoted. Yeah, I guess it would be important. I am F28, he's M50. Mini updating comments. 6 hours later. There's a lot of comments, more than I expected. I want to start by saying thank you all, even the ones that said I was the asshole but gave a polite reason why. This really helped me calm down. My anxiety and anger was through the roof, and this really helped calm me down, distract me, and clear my head. I would like to clarify here, because I noticed a lot of people misreading it, but the employee was never buying anything, especially not our actual bed that I was sleeping on. He was picking up a free spare bed frame, because Amazon is kinda weird in how they fix things apparently. I really have no idea why or how they ended up in the bedroom. I will eventually find out, and that will be in the update, which I will update the post with an update when I have one. I tried to be as polite as possible in my replies, but a few times my temper did flare a bit. I apologize for that. I admittedly haven't slept since all this happened, so I'm pretty impressed I can spell still haha. I'd like to especially thank the men that apologized for what I dealt with how the world is going about. That was really wonderful to see. And thank you to every woman that defended me and lifted me up. Your aggression was honestly sweet as fuck. I genuinely appreciate your kindness. When the time comes, I'm going to let him explain himself, listen, and explain myself as well. I will apologize for snapping only if he actually shows remorse what he did and understands how wrong it was. If he makes excuses, I'm not going to meet in the middle. I know a lot of you were mad about sleeping on the couch. I did no sleeping at all, of course. But when we've clashed before, he almost always takes a couch, so I don't see it as unreasonable, but I get where you are coming from. That's the goal. And yes, I am reevaluating my relationship with him even before I hear him out. I'm not going to act rashly. It's really impossible to explain a 3-year relationship in one post. And I know everyone wants to hear every detail, but not every detail is meant for strangers. No offense, I love all the advice and support you've given me. But I'm considering leaving him, and I do have a plan if it comes to that. I always have, in all honesty. But I really need to close my eyes right now, especially now that my chest doesn't hurt. Thank you dearly once again. I'll post the update when I have one, and I'll try to reply to people, because I always feel like I should when you put in the time to try and help me. Thank you. Update. Same post, same day. 10 hours later. Update. I broke up with him. When he finally admitted, he brought him in there to see the bed. He basically said all my reasoning for not being okay with it is stupid, that I was dressed and under a cover, and it was fine. He said basically everything that everyone said in the comments, and refused to see any wrong in his actions, besides one brief admittance that he could see how I was uncomfortable, but in the same breath said he couldn't imagine how I'd feel violated, and thus wouldn't validate my feelings. So I broke up with him, despite probably should have waiting until I was not at the end of the month and could more comfortably find a place to live. I'm fine. He just went off into the other room and laid down on the couch. I'm not concerned for my safety yet, but if I become, so I'll be able to stay with a friend. I can afford to move once I find a place. It just takes time. No, I won't take the couch, haha. It was a long conversation of me desperately trying to get him to understand all this took was just admitting he was wrong and just apologizing. I couldn't get that much. Looks like I didn't know him after all. Storied. Am I the a-hole for grounding my daughter and canceling her senior trip after I found out she was cheating on her boyfriend? I have 2 daughters, Lizzie, 17F, and Mackenzie, 14F. Their dad and I divorced a few years ago after I discovered he was having an affair. I have the kids most of the time, and their dad has them every weekend and during the summers. Lizzie has been dating Jacob, 18M, for over a year now. Jacob is constantly at our house. He's a sweet, good young man, and I believe he'll be valedictorian of their class. However, a few weeks ago, I overheard Lizzie on the phone with a guy, clearly flirting. At first, I thought it was Jacob, but then I heard her say, Brandon. I realized she was talking to someone else. Then a week later, she mentioned to me that she was heading out to hang with a friend, and when I looked out the window, I saw her get into a car and greet a guy with a kiss. It wasn't Jacob. Even after that, Jacob continued to come over, hanging out with Lizzie. He and Lizzie still acted like a couple holding hands, laughing, and spending time together just like they always had. I felt disgusted knowing my daughter was being a two-timer. After Jacob left that day, I confronted my daughter. I asked her point blank, "Are you cheating on your boyfriend with another guy?" She said it was none of my business, and that her personal life was hers only. I told her she was wrong, and that I raised her better than to treat people like this. She told me she was bored with Jacob, and that Brandon was more her type now. I told her that if she wasn't happy, she should just break up with Jacob. She said she didn't know if she wanted to be with Brandon, or if she was just having fun flirting and teasing. I told her cheating was unacceptable and wrong, and as a consequence, I grounded her. I also told her she wasn't allowed to go on her senior trip with her friends. She obviously did not take that too well, and has been at her dad's place for the last couple of days. My ex-husband called me, saying I was being unreasonable not letting her go on the trip, and that her and Jacob was just a high school thing. He then told me I needed to put my bitterness aside and stop punishing his daughter. I told him I was teaching our daughter right from wrong, and that actions have consequences. Ada has no consensus bot. OP received mixed reactions. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Antia. Your post sounds like Lizzie's a daddy's girl, and he's been green lighting her behavior. OP. He's definitely the fun parent. Dad gives the money and takes them on trips while I do the actual parenting. My youngest needed a physical exam for soccer tryouts, and he couldn't even be bothered to do that. Is the father going to undermine OP and let Lizzie go on her senior trip? OP. We agreed to split the costs of the trip. He wants to buy her a car for graduation gift, so he asked me to pitch in for the senior trip costs. He typically pays for big things like this. He has told me he will pay for the entire trip himself if he has to in order for her to go. Commenter 2. This isn't about your husband. This is about you and your daughter. You bringing up your husband's cheating tells everything. You didn't ask if your husband was an AH for cheating. Yes, he was. This is about you punishing your daughter because he cheated on you. That makes you a horrible parent. And him cheating doesn't change if he was a good parent or not. It makes him a shitty husband. One can be a great parent and a shitty partner. OP. Our divorce impacted our kids, and both daughters' grades started to fall when we were going through the divorce. I had to pick up the pieces and hold our family together. The girls are back on track, but it was not easy. Your father packing his bags and becoming a weekend day does impact the kids. I only mentioned it because you called me a bad parent. How long has Lizzie been with Jack, and how is their relationship? OP. They've been together for almost 2 years. Jacob is at our house almost daily. He attends family functions. He's not just some high school thing. Commenter 3. Teens evolve and learn from their mistakes. Your punishment is not teaching her the lesson, simply making her not like you. Teaching her empathy and the impact on Jacob's and Brandon's feelings by having a conversation with her. Without discipline will open the lines of communication and make her more open to talking to you. Why would she confide in you if she could be punished? OP. How can she learn if she does not believe she is wrong? She thinks this is okay, and she's not hurting anyone because Jacob doesn't know. She thinks telling Jacob will hurt him. Update. 6 days later. I receive a lot of good advice from my original post and wanted to provide an update. My daughter has been at her dad's house since my last post. I called her saying I'm reconsidering canceling her senior trip, but she needs to tell me what's going on with this new guy, Brandon. She reiterated that it's not serious and she's just having fun. I told her she needs to decide which guy she actually wants to be with. She said she doesn't want Brandon, but he's fun and Jacob can be too serious and controlling. She likes how chill Brandon is. She kept saying she doesn't understand why I care so much, that I'm supposed to be on her side, and that I'm acting like Jacob is my child and not her. I told her that wasn't the issue. The issue is that cheating is wrong, and she's hurting Jacob, who she claims to love. She says she's not hurting him because he doesn't know about Brandon. I told her she's going to have to tell him, and only then will she be allowed to go on her senior trip. She said she couldn't do that. She still wants Jacob, but he can be annoying sometimes, and she needs a change of pace. I told her it was wrong to use both of these guys. I asked her if Brandon goes to the same school, and she said no, that he isn't in school all. I tried pressing her on how old Brandon is, but she wouldn't give me a clear answer. She just kept saying he's not that much older, but not in school. After the call, I contacted my ex-husband to express our concerns about this new guy and how secretive our daughter is being about him. He told me I need to stop being a helicopter parent and let our daughter make her own mistakes and decisions about her love lives. I told him we don't know anything about this Brandon guy, and how can he not be concerned about him? He said he trusts our daughter, and that she is nearly an adult, and that I'm just being controlling and projecting my issues onto her. I told him with how little we know about this Brandon, and her not willing to at least break up with Jacob, there is no way she is going on the senior trip. My ex-husband got upset, saying I cannot make these decisions on my own, and that she is his daughter too. He told me he'll be paying for the full senior trip, and that I need to back off if I want our daughter to ever come back home. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. As a mother, my ears would be perking up at my daughter telling me her boyfriend is controlling. I'd act like I'm her mother, which you are, and get more information on that before trying to push her into the hands of a potential psycho. OP. I know Jacob. They've been together for almost 2 years. She has never mentioned him being controlling until she wants to justify her cheating. Commenter 2. But you didn't even question that further? That's a huge red flag on your end, to me. You have already seemingly decided that Jacob is blameless without interrogating that statement further, because you are so invested in your daughter's wrongdoing that you cannot conceive of a more complex rationale for her behavior. You may be right, but as a mother you owe it to her to dig into that statement to find out more. OP. He is a bit nerdy who takes school very seriously. I think my daughter perceives certain traits as controlling. Like before all this happened, she wanted to go to a friend's house to hang out, and Jacob insisted they needed to study for an exam they had coming up. Commenter 3. You're her mother. It's not your business if she's cheating on her boyfriend or not. As long as she is safe you can give advice, but can't punish her for the way she chooses to live her life. There are limits between what a parent can and can't, you know. Sometimes it's just not our business. And you are just her mother, She's her own person. OP. What my daughter does is always my business. Commenter 3. You can always worry about her, but you cannot interfere with her decision at this point. She is a human being. She's not an extension of you, and you can't control her. That's the thing about parenthood, knowing from start you're raising a person, and you can bet they're going to make 1,000 things you don't agree with. And, well, it's not under your control. You care for her, and are here for her. But about the punishment, don't you see you're out of line there? It's her relationship. You can't punish her for cheating on someone. It's way out of a mother's jurisdiction. Try to talk with her, know your limits, and express you want her to be safe. Not sure there's anything you could do but that. OP. Nothing is out of a mother's jurisdiction when it comes to their children. Nothing.